We're good to go, guys?
Yeah, all
I'm good.
Tone, you right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah?
Sorry, I'm watching monitor.
Just watching the goals.
I haven't even seen the goals yet.
Yeah, they're up there. Right.
Right, let's go. Can everyone hear us all right out there? Yeah? We good?
Yeah.
We good? We good? Dan, we all right? Loud and clear? Okay, good, good. Hello and welcome everybody to the Real Offside podcast with me, Eddie Duah.
I'm doing it.
I would like to introduce my co-host, none other than the Newcastle legend, England legend, Mr. Rob Lee. We have some very special, We got one to come. We have a very special guest in the building today. Seeing as we are at Aspers again in Westfields, this gentleman here started his career just down the road from us, where we are today at West Ham, is Mr. Tony Cottee. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Tony, how you doing?
Very good, thanks. Very good.
Good, good. And also my co-D in the building as well, Mr. Zane Groves.
Whee!
Oh, I got the biggest cheer, everyone.
Yeah, you did.
Sympathy cheer, that was.
That's exactly what it was. I didn't want to say it. So, Tone, how are you?
I'm very good. Very good.
It's almost like welcome home again, isn't it?
I'm an East End boy, you know that. So,
Yeah.
it's great to I've walked past the casino quite a few times. Not actually
Not been in there, I hope.
No, I haven't. First time in, so it's a very impressive place. And obviously walked past a few times going to watch the Hammers this year.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we thought, we'll have a special guest like yourself coming on. We've got Jamie Lawrence to come as well, someone who I'm sure you know very well. You played with him before, no?
No, I didn't play with Jamie. No, it was just before me. I think
just
at Leicester.
before you. Okay, so
I think he got arrested on the way though, James.
I can't wait for you to tell him that joke, Rob.
I'm not telling anything.
Yeah, so, but obviously, Tone, we've got the Leicester City game coming up today. And we thought we'd do something special, seeing as we're at Aspers Casino here in Stratford, who back us nicely and support the Real Offside in what we're doing. We thought we'd bring out the big guns, so here you are. So, Tone, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what life was like growing up as an East End boy just down the road, starting your career off at West Ham.
I was born in West Ham, family all West Ham, mum, dad, nans, granddads, everyone West Ham. So
No Spurs.
No Spurs. It wasn't.
Definitely no Spurs.
It wasn't an option. I was told to support West Ham, and had a great time watching them. Travelled all around the country as a kid. I was a mad fan, and the only thing I always say when I become a player, the one thing I missed was being a fan, because it's just a great experience to follow your team around the country. And they had some good players as well when I was watching them, which would have been sort of throughout the 70s and the early 80s.
So who was your idol when you was watching them as a kid?
Guy called Brian Pop Robson, who played in the 70s. Yeah, fantastic goal scorer. I think Rob might just about remember Pop Robson.
Yeah, don't say I played with him, Tony.
No, I wouldn't.
Did you play with him though?
But he used to play up front with a guy called David Cross, or Psycho as the fans used to call him, and they had a great partnership. And
To be fair, West Ham's had a few psychos in their team, haven't they?
Stuart Pearce as well.
Stuart Pearce, Julian Dix.
Julian Dix, exactly. Yeah, so there's been a few over the years. But Pop was a small centre forward, 5'8"-ish, same as me, and stocky, and just a fantastic goal scorer, a great team player. So I used to watch him, and also Gerd Muller as well, who played for West Germany. He was a fantastic goal scorer.
He was at West Ham as well, was he?
He weren't at West Ham, no, he was West Germany. Bayern Munich.
West Germany, Bayern Munich. So, being a West Ham fan, growing up as a kid, supporter, avid fan, no other clubs was a choice. All of a sudden, you end up playing for them. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that all happen for you?
Well, you said I didn't have a choice. I mean, Arsenal and Crystal Palace wanted me as a, it's a little bit different nowadays. They take players at the age of 5 and 6. I got spotted at the age of 12. And Arsenal, Crystal Palace were in for me, but it was always going to be West Ham. That was my team.
Right.
But, the problem I had as a kid, and, probably still a problem nowadays, I was always too small.
Right.
And that was all I ever anyone said to me, oh, you're too small. You're
good enough, but you're too small.
Exactly, yeah. And it used to drive me mad. They didn't pick me for Essex because I was too small.
Yeah.
And then the manager changed. He picked me in the first game. I scored 6 goals and broke the record. So.
Well, speaking of 6 goals...
don't start.
Speaking of 6 goals...
I know where you're going.
You know where this one's going, right? Speaking of 6 goals, before you come in here, right, today, we was in the green room at the back there with Rob, and we was having a little chat about yourself, and I said to Rob, look, did you ever play with Tony growing up? As when you guys are playing non-league football coming through as kids, he goes, don't remind me. He said, you guys played for Romford Royals?
Romford Royals, yeah.
And he said every time, what was your team, Les?
Pegasus, they were.
Pegasus.
Great team.
He said he used to hear that you're playing Romford Royals, and all of a sudden, first thing he used to say to his mates, it's Tony Cottee playing. Because he knew as soon as you was in the team, that was it, there was goals. So was you always a goal scorer as a kid? Was that the only thing you ever thought about doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're born as a goal scorer.
Yeah.
The easiest thing, it sounds flippant, but the easiest thing in the world for me was to score goals.
Yeah.
I found that easy. The hard part was to run around. I didn't want to run around. That was, like players that can run all day, but they can't score goals. And I was the complete opposite. But I just loved the thrill of scoring a goal. People say to me now, do you miss being a footballer? I don't. I actually don't. It's hard work. It's mentally hard. But I miss the thrill of scoring a goal. There's not one thing I can do in the rest of my life that will give me the thrill of scoring a goal, and that's what I miss.
Yeah, and that's what you miss. So you coming through as a kid, you had a few clubs interested in you. You went to West Ham. And what was that like for you coming through now into the professional setup?
Well, it was great because I went from, as I said, a mad fan, and within the space of 18 months, I was making my debut in the first team as a 17-year-old. So
And scoring.
And scoring against Spurs. Yeah, any Spurs fans in?
Yeah, there's one here. There's one here, Tone.
Which was, in terms of debuts, it was fantastic. Scored the first goal, beat Spurs 3-0, and it was.
Was the rivalry that bad back when you was playing?
Yeah. The rivalry for West Ham. If you're in the top flight, it's Spurs. If you're in the Championship, it's Millwall, because that's normally where the teams are. So it's always been Spurs.
So
Millwall.
you score against Spurs, Tony. What if you? Are you getting the bus home? Are you living with mum and dad? Is there tears in the house? It's just their boys playing for West Ham. You scored against Spurs. You've won 3-0.
Yeah, we went home and watched Match of the Day and had a takeaway, I think, like most people. It was just a great thrill. And my mum and dad came to the game. They didn't know I was playing because John Lyle, the manager, didn't tell me till 1:30, which was the best thing to do.
Yeah.
So they just sort of took their seats in the stands, and we didn't have internet and phones those days. It was just all of a sudden the tannoy goes, number 9, Tony Cottee, and that was it. And
number 9.
Yeah.
Straight in.
Yeah, straight in.
So that transition from being all, if you like, a non-professional into getting thrusted into the limelight at the age of 17, how did that play on your mental side of things? Was you able to deal with that straight away, or was there no pressure? What was the pressure like as a youngster dealing with that?
I don't think it's pressure on your debut. I'm sure Rob would say the same thing. I think you
More excitement.
Yeah, you're nervous, but I was nervous. I played over 700 games. I was nervous before every game, but as soon as I went onto the pitch, I wasn't nervous, and the reason being is I was confident in my ability. I knew I could score goals, and I was in an environment I was happy with. But you're always nervous before any football match, and if you're not focused and concentrating on a game.
Les, did you find you had the same problem?
No, I was never nervous, so.
I don't know you was going to say that.
I was only nervous playing against Romford Royals. That's when I got nervous.
You got a bit of thing about that, Rob, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it still rankles with me, Tony. It does, yeah.
How many years later?
40 years
40
later.
years later. I still have bad dreams about that, I'm telling you.
Sorry, mate.
So you're in at your boyhood club. You're doing very, very well. You're scoring goals week in, week out. You made a fantastic debut. You scored a goal. Then tell us about how the move came about to you becoming the record British transfer to Everton.
Well, I was a regular at 18 for West Ham, so I had sort of 5 seasons as a regular.
And scored a load of goals, by the way.
Against Spurs as well, scoring a load of goals against Spurs.
Yeah, we need to talk about them goals you scored against Spurs.
I think we do, yeah. But I mean, West Ham went very close to winning the league in 1986. They finished third, and in a way, it was the best thing that happened in my career. But it was also the worst thing from the point of view that I got into the England squad. Don't mean this horribly, but I get in the England squad, and you're then with players who are talking about how much money they're earning, how many trophies they're winning. They're playing in the FA Cup final next week. And I had that taste with West Ham, and then I had 2 years where nothing happened, and we nearly got relegated again. Typical West Ham season, you might add.
Yeah.
And then in the summer of '88, I put in a transfer request because I was frustrated. I wanted to go to a team.
But where did that frustration come from? Was it for the fact that you moved up to the next level, at the highest level, if you like, playing for England, and you're with?
I wanted to win things. I wanted to.
Yeah, did that influence your decision to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I've said I'm a West Ham boy. I didn't want to leave my club. You know, my personal feeling, I don't want to leave. Professional feeling, I've got to do what's right for me. Football is such a short career. If you're lucky, me and Rob were lucky. You had 20 years as players. But not some players, they have 10 years. They have lots of injuries.
If they're lucky.
Look at the injuries Alan Shearer had.
Yeah.
Gazza, they have so many injuries and miss so much of their career. It goes so quick.
Michael Owen as well,
So you've got to take your chances when it's there. And I wanted to go to a team that was going to win trophies. So I went to Everton and won absolutely nothing.
Well, you were going to say you went to a team that won trophies. So how did that whole Everton situation come about? You had the transfer request. Did they actually? Was you one of their main targets at that point in time? Or
yeah, absolutely. And I had a choice: Everton or Arsenal. Arsenal would have been the easy choice because I'm a London boy.
Of course,
easy, just move down the road. But I felt that Everton wanted me more, and Everton also, being honest with you, paid more money than Arsenal.
Sure.
Arsenal didn't, they still
Up to now, they still don't pay the money.
Exactly, I know. So nothing's
That's why
changed.
we've got loads of
has it?
issues down there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was why I moved to Everton, and we spoke about my debut for West Ham against Spurs. On my debut for Everton, I scored after 34 seconds.
Yeah.
Got a hat trick, and we won 4-0.
So I mean,
where do you go from there?
Do you remember that game and the goals, Tony?
Oh, God, listen, I remember all my goals. Yeah, I mean, it was incredible.
who was your manager at the time?
Colin Harvey was the man who signed me.
Right.
And then Colin was manager for 2 years, and then he got the sack, and then Howard Kendall took over, and then I had Mike Walker as the manager who sold me at Everton. But I had a great time. 6 years at Everton was fantastic.
And you said you remember all your goals. What's your favourite?
Probably my overhead kick against Forest, because anyone who saw me play will know that I didn't get too many overhead kicks. They was normally like tap-ins from about 2 yards, but someone's got to do it. Yeah, someone's got to do that. But
it doesn't matter. He goes in, Tone.
Yeah, this particular game, 1987 against Forest, overhead kick, top corner. Bobby Robson, the England manager, was there watching, and that was a special feeling.
Yeah, excellent. So you've made that transition to Everton. You started off really well. You never won anything. So where do you go back to now? You come back to where?
Back to West Ham.
Back to West Ham. And how was that transition coming back to West Ham, your boyhood club that you left for the reasons that you weren't going to win anything?
Well, the Christmas presents were a bit better from Mum and Dad after that.
Yeah, I bet they was.
Possibly, yeah. I came back. I had two and a bit years at West Ham.
Was there any issues in your return?
No issues from my point of view. And obviously, there's a turnover of staff, but a lot of the people that were there were still there. The chef was still there, the kit man was still there.
Yeah.
Alvin Martin, Steve Potts was still there from my time before.
So there was a few places
players
that you knew and you felt comfortable
exactly.
around.
So I went back and settled in, and I had a great time. Harry Redknapp signed me. He was a fantastic manager, good coach, and I enjoyed my time there at the club. But unfortunately, Harry started buying a few foreign players, and all of a sudden I got injured, and I sort of felt like I was sixth choice striker, and it was time for me to move on because I wanted to play again. I didn't want to leave West Ham, but I knew I had to leave because I wanted to play football. I mean
that's quite funny because I've worked with Harry before in the past, and I've dealt with him quite a few times in a day job. But I would always thought you was the type of player that Harry Redknapp would really love, especially being a local boy and all of that, because he's quite big on that from every time I've met him. So
yeah, exactly.
What was that like for you, knowing that West Ham is your club? Harry is an English manager, and all of a sudden you wasn't getting the love or the rub of the green as you expected.
Well, he was experimenting, as I say, with the foreign players that were coming over. This is the mid-90s. And Harry as well, I think wherever he's been, at whatever club, he sort of has a 2-year turnover of players, and that applies to a lot of players. He loves them for a couple of years, and then he'll move them on. He'll get someone else in.
Was that
a little bit of bung, huh? Get a bung.
A bit of what?
That's not me saying that.
A little bung, isn't it? It's not me saying
What's he talking
a little
about?
brown envelope.
I don't know.
Do you think that was detrimental for West Ham, though, bringing all the foreign players in and losing your sort of place?
Well, it wasn't just Harry, was it? I mean, you could argue that for West Ham, from West Ham's point of view, but the game's changed, isn't it? As soon as the Premier League was invented, you went from having 2 or 3 foreign players in your squad to having 15, 20 foreign players. So the game's changed unbelievably, and Harry was just experimenting at that time, but it was time for me to move on.
So as a player, how did that affect you? Did it make you just want to chuck it in, or did you actually feel like, there's a part of me that wants to go and show Harry that he's made a mistake? No,
I felt like I'll chuck it in and go to Malaysia for a payday, which is what I did. So it was a good holiday, I've got to be honest. It was a fantastic holiday. The football was awful.
Yeah.
And I was out there for 8 months. So
I got paid very well for it.
I did, yeah, but the problem was to be a tax exile, you have to be out of the country 10 months, and I was only out 8 months, so I had a big tax bill when I came back, and it sort of defeated the object.
No
really.
one likes that.
Didn't your agent tell you that in the small print?
No, I know. But the reason I came back is because Leicester wanted me.
Yeah.
Talking about Leicester
tonight.
That's
right,
and I had 3 fantastic years in the Premier League with Martin O'Neill.
So how did that all come about? because obviously you're in Malaysia now. Was that something that your agent brought to your doorstep and said, "Tom, we've got an opportunity at Leicester"?
No, it was absolutely nothing to do with that. It was my dad was an insurance broker, and we used to insure the family. It was a family business. Used to insure a guy called Steve Walford when he was at West Ham with me.
Right.
And then Steve Walford then became the coach under Martin O'Neill at Leicester.
Okay.
So he recommended me to Martin O'Neill, and Leicester were about to play in Europe in the 97-98 season. They needed squad numbers, so they signed me, and I actually played in the Atletico Madrid Leicester game 20 years ago, which it was 20 years ago. So I didn't play in the first leg. They lost 2-1 in Spain, and then the second leg we lost 2-0 at home, and that was the only time I played in Europe, believe it or not. I had 15 minutes as a sub.
Really? In your illustrious career?
In my career, 15 minutes in Europe.
That is so hard to believe, the amount of goals you scored in your career.
Well, obviously the Heysel ban was on for 5 years, and as I said, I went to Everton, didn't really win anything, so I was just a bit unfortunate with it.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about your time at Leicester, because we're going to be covering the Leicester City game today. We've got a couple of massive Leicester City supporters here, Tone.
Yep.
Massive Leicester City supporters here, and also big fans of the show. Tell us a little bit about life at Leicester City and what it was like under Martin O'Neill at that point in time.
It was brilliant. It was just fun. Martin was a fantastic manager. Yeah, we had some real characters at the club. We had Steve Walsh, Matt Elliott, Jerry Taggart, Neil Lennon.
Big characters, right?
Muzzy is it, Robbie Savage, Heskey, Guppy. We had some. And when you look back, Tim Flowers in goal. We had some good players.
We
had some top players. And I actually look back and think, was the team that won the league last year, the Leicester team, was it that much better than the team we had in the 90s? And I would argue that it wasn't, but obviously they had the run of luck last year with everything went right for them, whereas at Leicester we was just sort of trying to get in the top 10 of the Premier League. But I had a great time, and there was a lot of things I hadn't achieved when I went to Leicester. I hadn't played in Europe, I did that. I hadn't scored at Liverpool, Manchester United or Leeds. I scored at all three grounds. Yeah. And I scored my 200th league goal when I was at Leicester. And I won my only trophy. I've been playing for 17 years.
It's nice to win a trophy, isn't it, Tony? Really nice.
Well, it is nice to win a trophy.
Yeah.
Sorry, did someone say something when we talk about... Tony's still bitter because he hasn't won anything yet.
Well, Rob deserved to win a trophy, but listen...
Trophy for what?
I'm just bitter about Romford Royals. That's what I'm bitter
about. Oh, no, keeps going on about it.
Let it go, mate.
But listen, a lot football, luck plays a big part in football, and sometimes, you can be playing in teams and, you look at that Newcastle team of 96. How the hell did they not win the league? And a little bit of luck comes into play, and all of a sudden you don't win your trophy.
Last 5 months, I've been asking Ledge the same thing. How the hell did you not win that league?
A little bit of luck, that's all it was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all we needed.
So, so now at Leicester, we're going to be covering the game. So I just want to have a little chat with you about Leicester. They had a fantastic season last season. Against all odds, they came through, won the Premier League.
Yeah.
Was that something that you ever thought would happen at that club?
No, of course not. No, listen, let's be honest. Leicester is a fantastic football club. But Leicester, historically, are not too dissimilar to West Ham, whereas they come up into the Premier League. Yeah. They'll have a few years in the Premier League, then they'll get relegated, and then they'll come back up again. And that's what, West Ham are like that. Leicester historically have been like that. So, when they just about stayed up under Nigel Pearson, there's no way...
Season before, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way in a million years. I know there was a few people who put a bet on and won a few quid, like at 5,000 to 1, but in general, most people would have, if you'd have said, like, Leicester are going to win the Premier League, you would have been marched off. You would have, there's no way they were going to do that. But, they had a settled team, they had great luck, they had all the top teams were out of form, they had no suspensions, no injuries, they didn't play in Europe, everything went for Leicester. And there was a big wide gap open, and they just went charging down the middle. And fair play to them, they thoroughly deserved to win the league. And didn't just win it; they won it by 10 points.
And what struck me about Leicester, like you said, watching them from the season before, almost being relegated under Pearson, to same players, similar system, but the players just looked rejuvenated under Ranieri at the time. You had Morgan, who looked like Sol Campbell in his prime. Yep. You had people just playing out their skin. Hoof looking like a top centre back.
Maldini.
He looked like a really good player again. So, what brings that sort of change about in the team from your experience?
One word: confidence.
And is that something that they gain from a manager, or is it within?
It comes from the manager, obviously, but it also comes from the players individually and as a team. And if you get confident as a player, then you joked. You said about Maldini. Robert Hoof probably felt like Maldini last year. Because that was how good he was playing. Yeah. And you had, Vardy.
And Morgan played like Sol Campbell, Yeah,
and you got, good, honest players like Albrighton, who's playing above himself. Yeah. Christian Fuchs, Danny Simpson. Players that you wouldn't normally associate with consistency and playing well.
And
they
has been
played
around
above
as well.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
been
And
around.
they was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And
Sitting in the Sky Studios every week, you must have been laughing. This can never happen week after week.
I was actually sticking up for Leicester because Jeff Stelling, who I work with on Soccer Saturday, kept saying, "Are Leicester going to finish in the top 6?" And I said yes, and everyone else said no. Then the question was, are they going to finish in the top 4? And I said yes, and everyone said no.
Yeah.
Then it was top 3, then it was top 2, and then are they going to win it? And so I did sort of back them as much as I could. But I think we all expected, in general, in football, all the pundits and everyone involved in football, that Leicester would fall to the wayside, but they didn't.
Did you expect Spurs to catch them like I did?
I think they should have. Yeah, I think it was a great chance for Arsenal. I think Arsenal blew it. I think Spurs
Always blow it.
Spurs had a very good season. They've still got a chance this year as well. But Spurs are building and going in the right direction. If you look at Arsenal, they're going in completely the wrong direction now. So they was all off form. Chelsea were awful, weren't they? Man City were poor. Man United were poor. Liverpool were poor, and Leicester were brilliant.
So tonight's game, Leicester in the Champions League against Atletico.
Yeah.
How do you see that going? And how do you judge Craig Shakespeare's time at the club so far? I know he got the position under, I don't know, there's a lot of talk about how he got the position and a lot of unrest. Ranieri was on Monday Night Football saying he felt a little bit betrayed by certain elements in the club. Listen, he didn't mention any names, nor would you expect him to, Tone, but how do you see and how do you judge Craig Shakespeare's time within Leicester? Within managers at Leicester City?
Well, listen, at the time, I said it was ridiculous getting rid of Ranieri, and I think most people did. But you can't argue with a change because they've won the games that are going to keep them in the Premier League. They got through the Champions League, and now they're looking forward to a quarter-final against Atletico Madrid. I think it's going to be a tough game. They've got some good players, Madrid. They're very, very hard to score against. We all know that. So I think it's going to be an intriguing game to see how both teams play, because I think both teams want to play on the counter-attack, and who's going to attack who. You'd like to think Atletico are going to attack Leicester. If Leicester just sit in and say, well, come and beat us, and then they try and hit them on the counter-attack, or you might just see a stalemate where both teams drop off and there'd just be a load of midfield possession and a 0-0 draw.
Nothing happens.
Yeah, which suits Madrid more than Leicester.
Of course it does, because Madrid will be a lot more comfortable on the ball than I would say Leicester in them areas. So should Leicester just revert back to tight and just go for it with the pace of Mahrez and Vardy?
Yeah. Well, Leicester have got to do what they're good at, and the way they won the league last year was to not have the bulk of the possession. They just defend deep, defend in numbers. When they do get the ball, they just try and hit them on the counter-attack, and that's why I say I think it'll be a really, really intriguing game to see how both teams play tactically.
And talking about Leicester, how good was Martin O'Neill as a manager? Your favourite manager?
He was the most inspirational manager to play under, without a doubt. I've never seen anyone get as angry and emotional as he used to on the side of the pitch.
Yeah, I've heard that through a couple of players.
Yeah, but he, in terms of motivating players and playing mind games, he was second to none. He would really get into your head and make you a better player.
Give us an example of that.
I don't know whether I've got time to tell the story, but a brief story of it. I mean, when I arrived at Leicester, I thought I was going to play in the first team. He just wouldn't play me at all. He farmed me out on loan. I went out on loan to Birmingham. He then recalled me. I thought, well, I'm going to play. Didn't play me. Put me in the reserves again. And then he then pulled me to one side before this reserve game and said, we was playing Notts County, and he said, if you play well, he said, I'll play you on Saturday at Old Trafford. So we played reserves on Wednesday night at Notts County. We won 1-0. I scored the only goal, and I did play well. And then on Saturday, he played me against Manchester United, and the score was Manchester United 0, Leicester 1, and I scored the only goal of the game.
So he kept his word, which is...
He kept his word, and he played the mind games for 6 months. But, if you've got anything about you as a footballer, and I'm sure Rob will agree with this, you get so many challenges, and when you get a challenge, you have to rise to the challenge, or you just fall to the wayside. And Martin challenged me, and I rose to the challenge. And, I think all good players do that.
Les, did you find that in your career? Did Keegan give you any mind games? Or?
Yeah, I think you always get them, don't you? It's one thing footballers have to put up with, really. But I'm more interested in how Tone, you started your manager career at Barnet.
Oh, we got there already.
You had a great result, didn't you? You started so well.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to talk about that, so just let you know.
Well, I'm interested in how you went into management in the first place, and sort of like, do you think it was the right thing to do, or
No, looking back, Rob, it was the wrong thing to do, because what I should have done really, I should have gone and learnt under someone, maybe be a number 2, maybe be a coach somewhere, and get the badges that we were speaking about off air, earlier, because I didn't have the qualifications. I went to Barnet. I was doing everything. I was doing the warm-ups, making tea, picking the team, doing a press conference. It was crazy. We had no money. We had no training ground. We had no kit. Yeah. And it was just so hard. I was only there for 5 months, but the game Rob's referring to, the first game, home to Blackpool, we beat them 7-0, and it's still a club record score. So in terms of me having debuts, obviously it was my home debut, and I don't know, it just followed me through my career that I had good debuts. But, on reflection, and it's easy to say now, I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken my time and then gone into football. Yeah.
Do you think that would have made much more difference to you as a manager, and would you still be in the game now? In terms of management?
Yeah, I think I would have. But I mentioned the word luck, you still need luck. And, I could have had a bit of luck and done well at Barnet, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to become the West Ham manager, and then you just kick on and go from there.
So is that something that you aspire to do in your career?
Listen, I'd love to be West Ham manager, but it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I haven't got the qualifications.
Even with someone with your background and what you've done for the club?
Yeah, but I don't think it matters in football. I don't think clubs and people think about things like that. You can do whatever you want, but you're very quickly forgotten in football, and you're waiting for the phone to ring. No one rings you, and unless your mate gets a job or something as the chairman, you ain't going to get a job. It is very, very difficult.
Yeah. No. Okay, so just coming back to Leicester City tonight. So, how do you feel they will? I know you spoke about maybe it might be a bit of a stalemate, and it might just be a game play through the middle. Do you think that's something that they can sustain for the whole 90 minutes, or do you think at some point in the game they have to go and attack?
No, Leicester don't have to go and attack. I mean, I think the one thing that I'd like to see, and I'm sure, listen, we're all English fans. We want Leicester to do well because they're in Europe. They're the only team in Europe, aren't they, in the Champions League? So we want them to do well. The one thing would be great, and what we did 20 years ago, is to get the away goal. And if you can get that away goal, it makes a massive difference and gives you a real chance in that second leg. You can then afford to lose the game 2-1 or even 3-1, but you've still got that away goal which gives you the chance in the second leg.
Yesterday we was here at Aspers again, taking in the Juventus versus Barcelona game.
Yeah.
And you could see how important it was, even though Barcelona finished 3-0 down, but the away goal that they were searching for was so important for them.
But they might not need it. I mean, they lost 4-0 last time, didn't they? And then they go and win 6-1.
Well, this is it.
But this is a different team. This is Juventus, and
the Italians are renowned for shutting up shop.
Oh yeah, you can see probably a 0-0 or a 1-0 defeat in Barcelona. But
they could go there and spoil the game easy, couldn't they?
Absolutely. Well, they will do, and they'll close the game out. Whereas PSG obviously didn't do that. But
they wanted to play.
Yeah, but it's important that Leicester get a result that gives them a chance in the second leg. It does, like I say, that could be a defeat with an away goal. Or even a 0-0, it still favours Atletico, but at least it gives Leicester a chance. And I think that's what we all want for the second leg, because going to the King Power, there'll be a fantastic atmosphere. And,
that's one thing.
And they'll be right up for it. Yeah, exactly.
A fantastic atmosphere.
Surely they can win, though. They're playing with no fear. They've got nothing to lose, have they?
They can win, of course they can, yeah, but it depends. Football is always very much on the night and how teams set up, what teams are played. I think Leicester I think we could probably pick their team that's going to play tonight if they're all fit. But they've got to be careful, especially when you've got the likes of Griezmann, he's a fantastic player and he'll cause problems for them.
How do you see it going, Ledge?
I think it'll be tough for Leicester. I really do. I think they've done brilliant since Shakespeare took over. He's won all his games, I think.
Barring the weekend?
Yeah, barring that one blip, but Champions League has got them through, but I just think Atletico are a very well organised team, and I think it's going to be their toughest. I think if they come out of this at 2-0, I think they've done well.
Mind you, nobody expected your team to beat Barcelona, and you absolutely romped them.
I know I expected us to beat them.
You expected that,
but the players Newcastle had, dear, they had some fantastic players. Let's not forget.
So they should have won the league with that.
I should have, of course they should have.
With that team?
We all know that.
It's only luck.
It's only luck. So you're predicting what today for Leicester?
2-1 Atletico, and I'll be well pleased with that.
So you think that's a draw or a score that they will be happy with? Shakespeare will be happy with that?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, Europe's always a different game because of the away goals rule, and until they take that out, if you get the away goal and lose, it's still a great result. It gives you a real chance, and that's what Leicester did last time.
Yeah. So I'll see. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I just think I can't see Leicester scoring. I really can't. Although they got Vardy and they got Mahrez, I think Atletico are too well organised, and I think they could. I think Atletico 2-0 tonight.
You having a £10
I think
bet on that?
they'll still be. I think they'll still be quite pleased with it, though, Leicester, even at 2-0.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. I agree. Yeah.
But you know what? Diego Simeone's side, he's going to be very resolute, very hard to break down, very rigid. But I still think with the pace that Leicester have, and on their, if tonight's their night, I actually see them causing a real upset. Because with Vardy's pace and Mahrez's creation on the ball and stuff like that, I just think Albrighton, another good player coming through the middle as well. Drinkwater and hold it sitting in front of the back four. So I actually feel that they will be a lot tougher than maybe Atletico may expect them to be.
I think it just depends if they're on their game. If Leicester are on their game, then they will cause problems for any team left in the Champions League. I honestly believe that. They are capable of doing it, but they've got to be on their game. And you can't have 8 or 9 on their game. You've got to have all 11 players on their game, and then they will then have a chance of trying to get the result that we all want them to get. But they've all got to be at it tonight. You mentioned about the pace on the break, but Atletico are experienced. They've got a great record in terms of the Champions League. They've been in this competition so many times. They all know how to play in it. So they're not going to be that naive that they're all going to squeeze up to the halfway line and let a ball be chipped over the top for Vardy to run onto. They're not going to do that.
No, and I don't think for 1 second Diego Simeone sets these teams up like that anyway.
No, exactly.
But we just spoke about Diego Simeone. He's been there, done it countless amount of times with Atletico. Do you think Craig Shakespeare tonight will be sitting there thinking, wow, this is the biggest game I've been involved in so far?
I don't think he'll be thinking that. I know he'll be thinking that.
So how would that affect him then?
Well, I don't think it will. I think he's just, he's enjoying the experience. I don't think at the start of this season, unless he had ulterior motives that you spoke about, I don't think he would have, for 1 minute, think that he would have been leading his team in the Champions League quarter-final. I don't think he would have thought that. So go out and enjoy it. It's one of those games, really, as a manager, from his point of view. I mean, you want to get it right. Obviously, you don't want to get beat 6-0, obviously, no. But I think it's a game that they can go and enjoy and relax. And I think the Leicester mentality, the Leicester team spirit they've got, the fans, I think there's 15,000 Leicester fans gone out there. They've only got 3,000 tickets, so they'll all be watching in the bars in Madrid.
Say they've only got 3,000 fans.
No, that's certainly not the case. But they'll all be out there looking forward to it, and it's a free game. But as I keep saying, just stay in the game. Don't lose 4-5, 6-0, and when it comes to the second leg, it's a dead rubber.
Yeah.
And speaking about your Leicester, can we talk about your cup win? What that meant to you? Was there a big after show? Any funny stories? Because we've got a couple of big Leicester fans in the house.
Yeah, I know we have. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing was we played Spurs in the 1999 League Cup final and lost. Yeah, I know. That's the only reason you asked me about the question.
No, honestly, I wouldn't do that.
But I was gutted. We lost. They went down to 10 men and they scored
Nielsen header, wasn't it?
Yeah, they scored with about 2 minutes to go, and I was on the pitch at Wembley, 33 years of age, feeling sorry for myself, crying my eyes out, thinking I've worked for 16 years to win the cup, and if you can't beat 10-man Spurs, what chance have we got? And I was literally crying with my head in my hands, and I just felt this arm around my shoulder, and I looked up and it was Martin O'Neill, and he said to me, "Don't worry," he said, "we'll be back next year." I went, "Gaffer," I said, "I'm 33 years of age, the chance is gone." He went, "I promise you we'll be back next year." And we went back the following year, beat Tranmere. So that particular picture, you can see the picture of me holding up what is now the EFL Cup. That means a real lot to me. It was a reward for all the hard work I'd put into the game to actually lift the trophy.
Who was that against?
Tranmere.
I played Arsenal, Man United in the FA Cup. Won the treble, won the double.
But you didn't win, though, Rob.
You didn't win. Sounds a bit bitter there.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. I'm sorry about my co-host. Sounds a bit bitter, doesn't he?
It's a Romford rules.
No, listen, I played in 5 cup finals and I lost 4. I know how Rob feels. It's the most horrible. 4 cup finals I lost. And the 5th one was that Tranmere one, so I made the most of it.
Got to keep going to the
Is it more emotional when you lose, though, than...
It's a horrible place to be.
You probably learn more when you lose. I mean, when you win, everything's great and you forget everything, don't you? But when you lose, you analyse things. Could you have done more? Could the team have done more? So, we always say you learn more losing in football than winning football.
And we've got a load of West Ham fans here today.
Not surprising, we're in Stratford.
Of course.
Yeah.
Have we got any funny stories for the West Ham fans? Any stories I'd like to hear?
Funny stories about what?
It could be any teammates.
Got to be careful
funny.
here. We've got to be careful here.
Well, I think people always asked me about Frank McAvenny because we had such a great partnership, but we was very, very different characters. And I mentioned the '86 season earlier on when we was talking, and we finished third. And me and Frank scored 54 goals between us, just the two players. So it was a special season.
That's amazing.
Special partnership. But we was completely different people. On the field we clicked. Off the field, as I said, after my debut, I'll go and watch Match of the Day and have a takeaway. Frank was out on the razzle with a page 3 bird on his arm, so which was great because it worked. But that season, the 85-86 season, yeah, it did. Yeah, but there was one occasion I went out and I went to Stringfellas. And it's not what it is nowadays. It was then just a nightclub, and I had a good night with one of my pals. Got quite drunk and decided to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I sort of staggered up the stairs, got to the reception, and I bumped into Frank McAvenny and gave him a big cuddle, and I had a picture done for the club photographer. At which point I said to Frank, "You're right, Frank, you had a good night?" He went, "Good night." He said, "I've just got here." I was going home. He just arrived. So I think that just about summed it up.
Hey! Hello, here he is. None other than the big man, actor, comedian, Mr. Ricky Grover.
Late again.
How are you, Rick?
Always late. How you doing?
How are you, mate? How are you? All right?
Yeah.
Wrong headphones, Rick.
I don't care.
You ain't been running, have you? Has he been running? You be careful of that running, Lark. It's no good for you.
Does your knees in?
No, he's at the other end of the table when he talks saucy. Never up this end.
I haven't got to tell my stories again now he's got here, have I?
No, but
dear.
you must know, Toad, Ricky's a massive West Ham fan. So
I'm just massive, really.
He's just massive. He's just massive and happens to be a West Ham fan as well.
Yeah, I'm
so he's a bit out of breath because he ran all the way down here.
Yeah.
He's been filming all day today, so I know really
Good
wanted to
see
be
you, mate.
here.
Good to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you. So how's it all been going? What's happening?
Yeah, it's all right. We've just been talking about the game. Tony's been sharing some fantastic stories.
It's Leicester, by the way, Rick. Leicester are
We
playing.
was talking about a nightclub called Stringfellows when you come in, so we'll let Tony finish it.
No, I finished the story. That was it. It wasn't that funny.
So it's all going well, yeah?
How was filming, Rick?
Yeah, it went really well. It's nice to see all these people here. Are you just one family or? Lovely.
Lovely. But yeah, we was talking about cup winning, and Robbie has had a touch of the green-eyed monster because Tony Cottee's won something in his career, and Rob hasn't. So he wanted to know what that feeling was like winning and lifting a cup.
Well, listen, the sad thing about it, and I always joke about it, but West Ham, we haven't won nothing for 37 years.
I know. Yeah. So with the players that you guys have had and produced.
It's a sad stat. And listen, I'm as guilty as anyone because I was part of the teams that play. But, 1980 is a long, long time ago now, and it's not good enough for a team like West Ham.
But Tony, okay, so you just give us a very sad stat. So why is there so much pressure coming from the West Ham fans onto the players about the style of play? Because you go back to when Sam Allardyce was in charge. There was a lot of uproar about his style of play. It wasn't the West Ham way. And ultimately he was outed because of that. So where does that pressure come from?
Well, the pressure comes from is that, as I said, historically, West Ham have been a yo-yo team.
Yeah.
They don't normally win cups. They certainly don't win the league. We know that because they've never won the league. So as a result,
I wished I hadn't run here now.
Yeah, sorry, Rick.
I've come all this way to hear that.
Prophet of doom. But no, listen, you can associate with what I'm saying here because so if you're a working class fan who does his day-to-day job and works his socks off, gets his money, pays his season ticket, it ain't cheap. I know West Ham are cheaper than quite a few clubs, but it's not cheap to watch football.
Still in London, yeah.
If you're not going to win anything, you want to be entertained. You want to see decent football, and that was what Big Sam didn't get when we used to talk about the West Ham way. Sam's a very good manager. He's very good at what he does. You've only got Palace, great result the other night. He's good at what he does. But as a West Ham fan, you want to be entertained and you want to see good football because they've grown up with the likes of Bobby Moore and Trevor Brooking and Alan Devonshire, fantastic players. So if you're not going to win anything, you might as well play good football.
So where did you stand on that side then? Was you, keep Big Sam in to keep your status, or did you want him out?
Well, I wouldn't say I wanted him out, but I felt the time was right for the club and for Sam. Yeah, I think Sam did his job. When he took over, West Ham were in the Championship. They was in the doldrums. There was chaos everywhere. They had that fantastic manager, Avram Grant, the season before. He was absolutely the worst manager in West Ham's history. And Sam's job was to get them back in the Premier League and to stabilise them. He did all that. But to take the club on, I felt it was right to make the change. I honestly believe Slaven can take the club on, but he needs to be backed in the transfer market, and they need to get the signings right.
Well, I was going to ask you about Slaven, so I'm glad you mentioned it. Slaven is obviously his pedigree is an ex-West Ham centre-back, you know, a maverick type of player, played no nonsense, heart on his sleeve. Now having a go as a manager from his time at Besiktas. How do you think he's done in his time at West Ham? And are you one for Slaven to stay, or do you feel he's had his time there?
No, he's got to stay. He's only just arrived. I mean, he's only into his second season. First season was brilliant. You know, last season at Upton Park, we all had a great time. It was brilliant last season. They overachieved. They finished 7th, and everyone was expecting big things. Whoever was in charge of the transfer policy got it totally wrong at the start of the season. They brought in 12 players, and not one of them was any good. No. That didn't help things. So if you add to that, they've had a new training ground, they've had a new ground just around the corner from here, they've had injuries, they had players late back from the Euros. You put all that into the melting pot, I think that they've done well to get to where they actually are at the moment. And it's been a difficult season. Keep Slaven Bilic, give him a new contract, let him get on with it. I don't want to see managers in and out, and I certainly don't want to see Mancini or Jokovic or whatever his name was this morning. I don't want to see him because they don't understand West Ham Football Club, and they don't care about West Ham Football Club. They just want to use West Ham as a stepping stone to go to some top club. And Slaven gets it. You ask Rob there. Rob played for Newcastle. He played for Charlton. But Rob played for West Ham, I think it was for 1 year, and Rob will tell you he gets it. He gets where the fans are coming from. And if you're a fan or an ex-player, you understand it, Rob, don't you?
Yeah, you do, mate. Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's come from the area. I've said it the same thing. It's the same thing about Newcastle as well. It's actually knowing the area, knowing the people, knowing what the club want. And we had the same problem with Sam at Newcastle. So, done his job. Gone back up. Yeah,
he's a troubleshooter at the end of the day, isn't
exactly,
he?
Mate.
Like if you're in trouble, you're going to call him in, give him a brown envelope, and he'll sort it out.
Yes, he is. But unfortunately for him, Rick, he doesn't play the style of football that the fans at the clubs are accustomed to.
Yeah, listen, as you know, I don't even know much about football. I don't even know why I'm here, to be honest. I'm starving. But the thing about West Ham is they did play open football, and West Ham are famous for beating great teams and losing against the lesser teams. Yeah, that's what they're known for. But the good thing about West Ham is they was exciting, and hopefully they stay exciting. I'll get back to being exciting. And the thing what Sam done, I did know he made it a little bit boring over there.
Yeah, we only got to look back the last 2 home games of last season. Home to Swansea, West Ham lost 4-1.
Yeah.
Home to Manchester United, they beat them 3-2 in the last game, so that pretty much sums it up.
But we watched the match last night, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
The Barcelona match. And everyone's going, Barcelona's got it sewn up. But when you see games like that, it's a really big thing playing at home. They seems like it really pulls the best out of Juventus was unbelievable. Yeah. And they was all over them from the off. But the thing about Barcelona, they might go and return the compliment. And do them 6-1 or something like that.
And this is what Tony and this is what we was talking about, Rick, just before you got in. And I think the difference between Juventus.
Well, you should have waited for me.
Well, we was. But the difference between the two teams, as you mentioned there, Paris and Juventus, is that the Italians are renowned for shutting up shop and just spoiling the game.
Yeah.
So I think that result, I can't see maybe happening the way it did at Paris.
This is not the Barcelona team of old, by the way. The 3 lads up front are brilliant, but I'm not sure about the rest of them.
Yeah,
not sure about the rest of them.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was entertaining football, and that's what West Ham was known for. Big long balls running around up and down the park.
Yeah.
Is that sound right? Up and down the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds awful.
I'm happy with that.
Sounds awful.
With that.
Tone, another one of your talismans that's been coming for a little bit of criticism at the minute, Mark Noble, one of your longest serving players.
Yeah.
I've seen of late the fans have been on him. He's had a lot of bad press. Do you think that's warranted, or do you think that's a bit harsh? Again, the expectation levels at West Ham are very, very high.
Everyone's entitled to an opinion. Mark Noble is a kid who's come through, out of Custom House or wherever he was. He was brought up in the East End. He understands it. He gets the club. He's a fantastic captain. The thing with Nobes is, I think he's technically a good player, but he's not an athlete, and he's the first to admit that. He's already said, football's become a sport for athletes. So if that's the case, and you've got a technically good player, get some runners in alongside him. But we bought Snodgrass. He's a good player, but he's not an athlete.
He ain't got no legs neither.
Lanzini's not particularly quick.
And Coyote, who did have the legs, he's now playing centre back.
Exactly. So So you've got to get the balance right. If you're going to play Mark Noble, you've got to get the players around him. Whether he'll be starting next year or not, I don't know. But I'd like to see him stay at the club because we don't see too many local players coming through anymore. And if you have got them at the club, keep them there, so that they can pass on their knowledge and their understanding to the players that are arriving, so that they know what it means, not just for West Ham, but John Terry at Chelsea. I don't get why clubs are so quick to get rid of players. If you've got someone like John Terry, keep him at Chelsea forevermore. Steven Gerrard at Liverpool, keep him at Liverpool. Don't get rid of these players. Let them pass on their experience. Why on earth is Alan Shearer not working at Newcastle, for example? It's just ridiculous.
Where did it go wrong for West Ham and their academy? Because they had the best academy in the country, didn't they? The players you brought through.
Yeah, where it's gone wrong is the other clubs have progressed and West Ham haven't. If you look at the training grounds, Arsenal, Spurs and Chelsea have got amazing training grounds.
Yeah, phenomenal.
West Ham have been at Belief until last season, which is where I trained, Rob trained, and Bobby Moore trained. It's been the same. It's been the same for 50 years. So
you've got away with it, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they've been left behind. And the thing as well is, football's changed, and the players don't always want to play for their local club. You've got mums and dads who get carried away and excited, and they want their little Johnny to go and play for Spurs because he's they're going to pay for their house and everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot changed in youth football, and it's not the catchment area of East London and Essex, which is still a fantastic catchment area. Those players aren't guaranteed to go to West Ham. 40 years ago, 30 years ago, they went to West Ham.
Yeah.
Now they'll go to wherever is the top team. And as I keep saying, West Ham haven't won anything. So are you going to win anything if you sign for West Ham anyway?
And where did you come out of, Tony? Whereabouts?
I was born in West Ham, grew up in Romford.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, mate.
Okay. So, so they're going to be losing a lot of players to that fact that they haven't won much for a long, long time. So how did they compete with that then, Tone? How would you say compete with that? Because, like you said, all their big players, they're leaving. Like Noble, he might be outed, and there's no one there that knows the fabric of the club like he does.
Yeah.
So how does that, as a young player, who's going to entice the next generation to come in?
Well, you've got the thing as well is that, what we always used to say is that at least the kids will be given a chance at West Ham. We always used to say that. Traditionally, historically, they've always been given the chance. If you look the last 10, 12 years, Mark Noble came through, James Tompkins, Jack Collison came from Peterborough, but he played.
Sure. Yeah.
But the kids aren't being given a chance. Rob won't say it, but I'll say it for him. His boy Elliot, fantastic goal scorer, never given a chance.
Yeah.
Never ever given a chance. And I always say, how do you know how good these kids are unless you don't give them a chance?
Yeah.
But the problem you've got, there's such high pressure. Look at Slaven, he's lost 5 games on the trot.
So how is he ever going to give someone like Elliot a chance?
He can't afford to do that, But going back before, I think there's always opportunities to do it. If West Ham can get safe in the next couple of games, you've got 4 games left. Play some of the kids, give them a bit of experience.
I agree with that.
We've got Rhys Oxford. Apparently, Rhys Oxford.
The words right out of my mouth,
he's going to be the next England centre half, as good
the
as
next
Bobby
Rio
Moore.
Ferdinand,
He's
this, that and the other.
17, 18 years of age, and he's been farmed out on loan to Reading, where he's not even playing for Reading.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
a joke.
madness.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
So you growing up in Romford at that time, was West Ham your ultimate? Like, was always wanted to play for him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
Yeah,
man.
100%. Always West Ham family, always going to be a hammer, and it's a dream come true to play for the club. We did actually go for this, Rick, but you weren't here.
Yeah.
That's a sad thing to say, isn't it? And I've really put the effort in. I run right through that shopping centre.
we got one
if you don't
more.
believe me, go out there and look at the bodies. They're everywhere. I've run through everyone.
Well, we've
There
got
you
one
go.
more
Nice to
special
see
guest
ya.
in the
Right,
building
good
as
to see
well
ya.
that just turned up. Mr. Jamie Lawrence, welcome to the show. Let's wait for Jamie to get mic'd up. Jay, take a seat there next to the ledge. Sorry about this, peeps.
You missed it all, James.
when they're
You're
all
just
like
talking about when I used to play on the wing for West Ham. I'll put a little bit of suet on, but I can still kick a ball.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. How you doing?
Cool, mate. I'm not bad, mate.
Come closer to the mic, please, sir. How was your journey in, all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Looking well as always?
I'm trying, mate, ain't I?
Yeah? Jay, look, obviously another Leicester City legend in the building. We've been talking about the game. How do you see Leicester City faring tonight?
I think they get something out of the game. I think it end up a draw and that. As long as they stay tight, they need a away goal, really.
Yeah.
And then they'll be all right, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking to Tony earlier. Tony was just saying that maybe an away goal will be perfect. An away goal will be perfect, but if not, then maybe let's not concede anything because he can't see.
You need an away goal when you're playing these ties nowadays and that.
Yeah. Like you feel they need one?
I think they need one. And I think they will get one.
You think they will get one?
I think they'll get one.
Okay, so how do you see it shaping up today then? Do you think they'll be expansive, use their pace, play counter-attacking football?
I think they defend deep and try and use Vardy and that on the break and Mahrez.
Well, Tone, that's what you were saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was exactly what I was saying. But whether Atletico will be that naive, I doubt it. I doubt it.
Well, Atletico, Simeone's renowned for keeping his shot very, very tight, Jay. And the only way I can see them scoring is, like you said, on a counter-attack, a ball played over the top. But then, like Tony said, they're not going to all squeeze up to the halfway line and be caught like that.
I think it changes today for Atletico. They're the favourites and all that. And they've got to come out and play. Normally, when they're playing against like Barcelona and whatever, they can set up how they want.
Yeah.
And no one ain't watching it. Now they've got to go out and win the game.
Now they've got to go out and win the game. So you feel that because of that, they will be left open?
I think they changed the way they play today.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ledge, what do you reckon? You agree with him?
No.
You don't agree with him?
I told you what I think. I think 2-0.
Rob, you've got to agree with him
2-0.
because you're scared of it, and you.
No, that was many years ago when he got me from behind when I wasn't looking.
So, Jay, we've been speaking to Tony about his time. You played under Martin O'Neill at Leicester as well. He signed you.
Mate. Yeah.
He signed you as well. What was it like?
No, he never signed me.
So he never signed you?
No, Mark McGee signed me.
Mark McGee signed you.
Martin O'Neill took over, which was the best thing whatever happened to the club.
So tell us a little bit about that. What was it like playing under Martin O'Neill?
Legend, but you knew where you stood with him. You couldn't step out of line because they put it on you quickly.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And if you was injured as well, he'd just walk past you in the corridor. He'd totally ignore you.
Or if you lost the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You
See,
can
that's
lose to Man
proper football,
United.
isn't it? That's proper football. That's not all that rolling about on the floor screaming when you've been touched. That's proper football.
So how was that for you then, Jay?
It was quality because he's shown me the way about winning football games. We could lose at Man United in the last minute, and all week you just blank you along the corridor and all that. But we beat Scarborough away 1-0 last minute. They say, "Oh, boys, I'll see you Thursday. Give you 3-4 days off."
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he trusted his players if he'd done a job for him?
Yeah. He never minded what you done off the pitch as long as you done it on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that what it was like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first season I was commuting from Chigwell to Leicester every day.
Chigwell to Leicester?
Chigwell to Leicester.
You're joking?
No.
On the Green Line coach?
I done it. No, I'm driving up. I had 3 years of doing that. And
Where's Leicester Square, really?
And the first year, Martin, he had the right up with me because he'd make me get we play in London, and he'd make me get the bus up to Leicester to get my car and then drive all the way back down to Chigwell.
No.
Oh yeah, because I wasn't in the team. And then when I got in the team and I was scoring goals, that was fine. I'd drive the kick man drove me car down to London because I was performing. If you're doing it for him, he'll let you do whatever you want. But if you're not in the team, injured, whatever, he'll really clamp down on
So
you.
like what Jamie said is exactly how it was like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
Rewarding results, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is it, Rick. This is what I was going to say. So do you feel now that side of the game has been lost with players?
Yeah, it's gone now. Too much player power for me, really.
Yeah, Tone, would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. But Martin didn't have that. He used to keep a tight rope on the players. I used to travel up with Frank Sinclair and Andy Impey as well.
That's
and
right.
That must have been enjoyable.
That was a bit. That was an experience. They was always late, and we had one occasion we met at Toddington on the M1 driving up, and there was roadworks and a crash or something, and we ended up late for training. And Martin called me into his office, and he said to me, he said, "What happened?" So I said, "Well, there was roadworks, there was a crash, whatever." He said, "Well, you're fined 500 quid. I said, "But Gaffer," I said, "there was roadworks." He said, "Well, leave earlier." And I kept saying all these things. All he said was, "Leave earlier, leave earlier, leave earlier." And he fined me. And that
He's
was
got
it.
a point, hasn't he?
He has got a point, yeah. So I always say that to people now, I say to my kids, leave earlier.
Anyway, I better make a move now.
Rick, leave earlier, you wouldn't have been late.
Right. So just got to ask you a quick question before we start the live game. Who was the best player you ever played with?
Simple question, Alan Devonshire at West Ham.
Really? Who was the worst player you played?
It's not. I don't like naming names, but Brett Angel at Everton probably springs to mind.
Jay, I'm going to have to ask you the same question. Who was the best player you played with?
Heskey all day long.
Yeah, and the worst?
I never divulge that, mate.
Ledge, we've asked you before. Go on.
You've asked me loads of times, and yeah, Gazza was probably the best player.
Yeah, and who's your worst?
Probably Gazza when he was pissed was the worst as well.
So you win it twice. All right, guys. Tony Cottee, Jamie Lawrence, everyone, thank you very much. We'll join us again at halftime where we'll be doing some giveaways. But for now, thank you very much. And we'll see you at halftime.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, guys.